Perth Amboy is a city in Middlesex County, New Jersey, United States. The city of Perth Amboy is part of the New York metropolitan area. As of the 2010 United States Census, the city's population was 50,814, reflecting an increase of 3,511 from the 47,303 counted in the 2000 census, which had in turn increased by 5,336 from the 41,967 counted in the 1990 census. Perth Amboy is known as the City by the Bay, referring to Raritan Bay. History. Name. The Lenape Native Americans called the point on which the city is built, Ompodja, meaning level ground. When settled in 1684, the new city was dubbed New Perth in honor of James Drummond, Earl of Perth, one of the associates of a company of Scottish proprietaries. The Algonquin language name persisted, corrupted to Ambo, or Point Amboy, and eventually a combination of the native and colonial names emerged. Also appearing in South Amboy, Scottish colony Perth Amboy was first settled around 1683 by Scottish colonists who had been recruited to inhabit the share of the East Jersey colony, owned by Robert Berkeley, a Quaker who would later become the absentee governor of the province. Charter and incorporation. Perth Amboy was formed by royal charter on August 4, 1718. Within various townships and again by the Township Act of 1798 by New Jersey legislature on December 21, 1784. Within Perth Amboy Township and from part of Woodbridge Township. Perth Amboy Township was formed on October 31, 1693, and was enlarged during the 1720s to encompass Perth Amboy City. Perth Amboy Township was incorporated as one of New Jersey's initial 104 townships on February 21, 1798. The township was absorbed by Perth Amboy City on April 8, 1844. Provincial capital. Perth Amboy served as a capital of the province of New Jersey from 1686 until 1776. In 1684, Perth Amboy became the capital of East Jersey and remained the capital until the union of East and West Jersey in 1702, and became an alternate colonial capital with Burlington until 1776. A few of the buildings from this early period can still be seen today. Most notably, the Proprietary House, the home of William Franklin, the last royal governor of New Jersey and estranged son of Benjamin Franklin, still stands in the waterfront area of the city. St. Peter's Church was founded by the First Episcopal congregation in the state in 1718. Its current building, from 1875, is surrounded by a graveyard of early inhabitants and displays a collection of stained glass windows with religious scenes as well as early depictions of New Jersey receiving her charter and a meeting between William Franklin and his father, Ben. Perth Amboy City Hall, first built as a courthouse in 1714, survived major fires in 1731 and 1764 and is the oldest city hall in continuous use in the United States. The Kearney Cottage, moved from its original location, is a remaining example of 18th vernacular architecture. During the colonial period and for a significant time thereafter, Perth Amboy was an important way station for travelers between New York City and Philadelphia, as it was the site of a ferry that crossed the Arthur Kill to Tottenville, Staten Island. Regular service began in 1709. This ferry became less important where the outer bridge crossing opened in 1928, but continued to operate until 1963. In 1998, the Perth Amboy ferry slip was restored to its 1904 appearance. A replica of the ticket office has been constructed and is used as a small museum. Industrialization and immigration. By the middle of the 19th century, immigration and industrialization transformed Perth Amboy. Factories such as A. Hall & Sons Terracotta, Guggenheim & Sons and the Copper Works Smelting Company fueled a thriving downtown and employed many area residents. growth was further stimulated by becoming the tidewater terminal for the Lehigh Valley Railroad and a coal shipping point. Perth Amboy developed tightly knit and insular ethnic neighborhoods such as Budapest, Dublin, and Chickentown. Immigrants from Denmark, Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Russia, and Austria quickly dominated the factory jobs. In 1903, the Perth Amboy Public Library became the first Carnegie Library in the state, made possible through grants from Andrew Carnegie and donations of local philanthropists. In 1914, Perth Amboy had a baseball team called the Pacers. They only played for one season. The city was also a resort town in the 19th century and early 20th century, located on the northern edge of the Raritan Bayshore. However, since the early 1990s, Perth Amboy has seen redevelopment. Small businesses have started to open up, and with the presence of an urban enterprise zone, the waterfront has also seen a rebirth. The marina has been extended, there are new promenades, parks, and housing overlooking the bay. Humorous James Thurber's biography My Life and Hard Times, the chapter, More Alarms at Night, involves Perth Amboy. One night during his adolescence in Ohio, young Thurber is unable to go to sleep because he cannot remember the name of this New Jersey community. He wakens his father and demands that he start naming towns in New Jersey. This convinces his father that Thurber has become dangerously insane. Thurber also wrote the story later made into the film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, about an inconsequential guy from Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Perth Amboy's water pumping station is located in Old Bridge, New Jersey. Geography. According to the United States Census Bureau, the city had a total area of 5.957 square miles, including 4.702 square miles of land and 1.255 square miles of water. Perth Amboy and South Amboy across the Raritan River are collectively referred to as the Amboys. Signage for Exit 11 on the New Jersey Turnpike refers to the Amboys as a destination. The Amboys are the northern limit of the area, informally referred to as the Bayshore. Perth Amboy borders Woodbridge Township, Sayreville, South Amboy, and the New York City borough of Staten Island. Unincorporated communities, localities and place names located partially or completely within the city include Barber, Eagleswood and Florida Grove. Perth Amboy sits on a geological layer of clay several hundred feet thick. Consequently, clay mining and factories such as A. Hall & Sons Terracotta located in Perth Amboy in the late 19th century. In the September 2005 issue, Golf magazine named Perth Amboy the unofficial golf capital of the U.S., despite the fact that there are no golf courses within the city limits, citing the city's access to 25 of the magazine's top 100 golf courses in the U.S., which can be found within 150 miles of Perth Amboy. Waterfront. Perth Amboy features a historic waterfront, which has gone through significant revitalization. This is where the city was first settled and one of the few places left in New Jersey that has a historic and marina culture surrounded by water. Local attractions include the Perth Amboy Ferry Slip, 2 small museums, an art gallery, a yacht club, and a marina. Near the marina lies a park with a small band shell. On Sunday afternoons in the summertime, Perth Amboy hosts the concerts by the bay and the park's band shell. The waterfront is also characterized by a red brick promenade near the water and many stately Victorian homes, some on hills overlooking the bay and predominating tree-lined streets with well-manicured lawns. It has a number of seafood restaurants, as well. The land rises steeply after 2 blocks. This hides the rest of the town, making the waterfront look like a quiet fishing village. Points of interest on the waterfront include St. Peter's Episcopal Church, and the Proprietary House, which is now the former governor's mansion and houses a museum and some offices. Kearney Cottage, which also has a museum, is here. In addition, this section of Perth Amboy once had a thriving Jewish community with yeshivas, synagogues, kosher butchers and bakers. Today, however, there are only 2 synagogues left, each with only a few members, usually over the age of 55. A project called the Landings at Harbourside was to have featured 2,100 residential units along with indoor parking, 150,000 square feet of retail space, a community centre, and recreation amenities for the public as well. After meeting with Charles Kushner, the developer who spent 2 years in prison after being convicted of witness tampering, tax evasion and making illegal campaign contributions, Mayor Wilder Diaz endorsed a scaled-back design concept for the development, allowing Section 8 housing rentals instead of owner-occupied units as originally promised. Downtown Perth Amboy. Perth Amboy was settled in 1683 and incorporated as a city in 1718. It was founded by English merchants, Scots seeking religious freedom, and French Protestants, who sought to make use of Perth Amboy's harbour to its full potential. Downtown is the main commercial district and is centred on Smith Street. It is an urban enterprise zone, and the reduced sales tax rate of 3.5% funds revitalisation of Smith Street with newly planted trees, Victorian street lights, benches, garbage cans, and red brick sidewalks. Smith Street is a relatively small shopping centre that is only 7 blocks wide and bustles with stores catering to working-class customers. The street is flanked by mainly 2 to 3-story buildings of varied architecture. It also has a lone bank skyscraper, which is 10 stories tall, called Amboy Towers, located at 5 Corners, the intersection of Smith Street, New Brunswick Avenue and State Street. Although there were previously several department stores downtown, the largest today is discount retailer Bargain Man. Harbourtown is a townhouse development on the waterfront which continues to be expanded since construction started in 1987. Affordable housing along with more affluent homes can be found in Harbourtown, an economically and ethnically diverse townhouse development in the city. This area was the Lehigh Valley Railroad marshalling yards where coal was loaded onto barges for shipment to New York City and elsewhere until the LVR went bankrupt in 1976. Hall Avenue is a neighborhood centered on Hall Avenue east of the New Jersey Transit train tracks. The street, Hall Avenue, itself is not the commercial strip it used to be. Still, although the street has a few pedestrians, it is not deserted. In addition, there is a recently built strip mall on the corner of Hall Avenue and State Street called the Firehouse Plaza. However, Hall Avenue is now primarily residential. Most of the homes are aging apartments, but there are also some newly constructed homes. Hall Avenue remains the traditional Puerto Rican neighborhood, and it hosts the city's annual Puerto Rican Day Festival, which is held on the same day of the historic Puerto Rican Day Parade in New York City. Rudike Park is north of Route 440 and features the Roberto Clemente baseball field and an industrial park. Southwestern section. The southwestern section is a mainly working-class residential neighborhood with some light industry. Once the site of Eagleswood Military Academy, the city's largest strip mall is located here. This neighborhood has a large and diversified Hispanic neighborhood with many Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and recently, South Americans. Much of the city's Mexican population also lives in this section. Previously, this section of Perth Amboy had a large Irish population and was once named Dublin. Following the Irish came the Eastern Europeans, primarily Polish and Hungarian. Most of the housing consists of small 1- or 2-family houses. The main commercial strip is Smith Street, west of the New Jersey Transit train tracks. Western section. The western section of the waterfront is west of Kearny Avenue. It is an overwhelmingly blue-collar Hispanic neighborhood. Most of the homes are over 100 years old and many are modest row houses. Sadowski Parkway Park lines through the southern end of the neighborhood and has a walkway with a beach. The beach is no longer safe for swimming. The park also hosts the Dominican Festival and other festivals during the summer. State Street is a neighborhood east of the NJ Transit train tracks, north of Fayette Street, and south of Harbour Town. Like the southwestern section of Perth Amboy, it is predominantly working-class Hispanic. In addition, this neighborhood had many industries and factories before they moved overseas. The neighborhood is mainly Caribbean Hispanic. This section once had a large Cuban community. The State and Fayette Gardens, an apartment complex in the neighborhood, were called the Cuban Buildings at one time. The Landings at Harbourside redevelopment project is being constructed in this neighborhood. Amboy Avenue is a quasi-suburban, working-to-middle-class neighborhood. It is also referred to as the hospital section, or the high school section, due to the fact that these places are located in the neighborhood. Today most residents are Hispanic. Amboy Avenue once had a strong Italian population. Maura is a chiefly working-to-middle-class neighborhood that lies in the northern part of Route 440. It is heavily industrial with many oil refineries and brownfields. Like Amboy Avenue, it is quasi-suburban. Chickentown is a neighborhood in the western part of Route 35 south of Spa Springs, just south of Route 440. It shares many of the same characteristics of Spa Springs but to a lesser extent. The city's largest park, Washington Park, is located here. It received its name from all the chicken farms that were located here before World War II. Spa Springs, along with the waterfront, Spa Springs, in the northwestern part of the city, remains one of the most attractive and middle-class areas of the city. The population is older. Spa Springs is the wealthiest neighborhood in town and is the most suburban with single-family houses and garages. Climate. Perth Amboy has a humid subtropical climate typical of New Jersey with warm summers and cold winters. Demographics. The city is one of many U.S. communities with a majority Hispanic population. 2010 census. At the 2010 United States Census, there were 50,814 people, 15,419 households, and 11,456 families residing in the city. The population density was 10,806.8 per square mile. There were 16,556 housing units at an average density of 3,521.0 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 50.26% white, 10.54% black or African American, 1.10% Native American, 1.69% Asian, 0.05% Pacific Islander, 30.77% from other races, and 5.58% from two or more races. Hispanics or Latinos of any race were 78.10% of the population. The city's Hispanic population was the second highest percentage among municipalities in New Jersey as of the 2010 census, ranked behind Union City with 84.7%. There were 15,419 households, of which 40.0% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 40.1% were married couples living together, 24.6% had a female householder with no husband present, and 25.7% were non-families. 20.3% of all households were made up of individuals, and 7.5% had someone living there alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 3.25 and the average family size was 3.65. In the city, 27.3% of the population were under the age of 18, 11.0% from 18 to 24, 30.2% from 25 to 44, 22.2% from 45 to 64, and 9.3% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 32.4 years. For every 100 females there were 97.3 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 94.3 males. The Census Bureau's 2006 to 2010 American Community Survey showed that median household income was $47,696 and the median family income was $53,792. Males had a median income of $38,485 versus $30,078 for females. The per capita income for the city was $20,162. About 16.3% of families and 19.4% of the population were below the poverty line, including 28.8% of those under age 18 and 15.2% of those age 65 or over. 2000 census. As of the 2000 United States Census, there were 47,303 people, 14,562 households, and 10,761 families residing in the city. The population density was 9,892.0 people per square mile. There were 15,236 housing units at an average density of 3,186.2 per square mile. The racial makeup of the city was 46.41% white, 10.04% African American, 0.70% Native American, 1.53% Asian, 0.13% Pacific Islander, 35.59% from other races, and 5.61% from two or more races. Hispanic or Latino of any race were 69.83% of the population. There were 14,562 households, out of which 40.3% had children under the age of 18 living with them, 44.6% were married couples living together, 21.0% had a female householder with no husband present, and 26.1% were non-families. 20.6% of all households were made up of individuals and 8.8% had someone living there alone who was 65 years of age or older. The average household size was 3.20 and the average family size was 3.63. In the city, the population was spread out with 28.5% under the age of 18, 11.4% from 18 to 24, 31.6% from 25 to 44, 18.3% from 45 to 64, and 10.2% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 31 years. For every 100 females there were 98.2 males. For every 100 females age 18 and over, there were 94.8 males. The median income for a household in the city was $37,608, and the median income for a family was $40,740. Males had a median income of $29,399 versus $21,954 for females. The per capita income for the city was $14,989. About 14.3% of families and 17.6% of the population were below the poverty line, including 24.1% of those under age 18 and 12.8% of those age 65 or over. In 2000, 27.79% of Perth Amboy residents identified themselves as being of Puerto Rican ancestry. The fifth highest concentration of Puerto Ricans on the U.S. mainland of those municipalities with 1,000 or more residents identifying their ancestry. In the same census, 18.81% of Perth Amboy residents identified themselves as being of Dominican ancestry. The third highest concentration in the country of Dominicans in the United States after Haverstraw, New York and Lawrence, Massachusetts, using the same criteria. Economy. Portions of Perth Amboy are part of an urban enterprise zone. In addition to other benefits to encourage employment within the zone, shoppers can take advantage of a reduced 3.5% sales tax rate at eligible merchants.